Sean Diddy Combs denied bail yet again as he awaits trial on charges of trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. A New York judge this week denied his bail a third time, citing his inability to follow rules set by the judge in jail, in addition to the threat he may pose to the women and other witnesses involved if this case is released.
The government has reviewed dozens of recordings of BOP jail calls in which the defendant uses telephone accounts of at least 8 other inmates, which is against BOP regulations. Seemingly to avoid law enforcement monitoring, the defendant uses other inmates' hack numbers to make phone calls to both individuals on the defendant's approved contact list, as well as other individuals who are not on the approved contact list.
Guilty. Okay. Plea of not guilty will be entered. The indictment at this time. Guilty. The indictment at this time. Guilty.
The judge has once again rejected the music mogul's request for bail. Judge Ayon Supermanon confirmed that he will be staying in jail through the holidays. The legal drama with Diddy has really heated up, and it's the talk of the internet. Many are surprised, especially since Diddy had hoped to be released after his appeal. It turns out, the case is more complicated than anyone thought.
Talking about that breaking news before the break, we are just learning that a judge has denied another one of rapper Sean Diddy Combs' requests to be released on bail. Remember, he's behind bars at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, waiting for his trial to get started next year in May. He's been detained for 2 months on charges of trafficking and racketeering, which he's pled not guilty to. Chloe Malas is following this for us. We were waiting for this decision. We got it in now. What do we know?
All right. Well, it's 5 pages, and the takeaway here is that the judge is saying that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community. And that was what New York prosecutors were saying. I was in court twice last week, and I listened to these prosecutors say that he was a danger to the community. And they showed that video, that surveillance video of him from 2016, brutally beating his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, saying that he has a propensity to violence, and that alone is a reason why we cannot agree to the proposed bail package. Now, his team had offered $50 million, a home of his in Miami as collateral, and they said that he would live in an apartment on Manhattan's Upper East Side, monitored by 24-hour security, that he would only talk to his attorneys, that he would only have, certain family members on a pre-approved list, and that, he would actually be under stricter conditions than he is at the jail in Brooklyn. But clearly, this is the third time.
Yeah.
This judge not buying it.
What was Diddy like in court? You were there twice last week. What was his demeanor like?
I mean, he was smiling on Friday, turned around and looked at his children. All of his children were there except for his infant child. His mother was there. He looked a little thinner. He looked a little worse for wear, but he has seemed upbeat and positive. And a few days earlier on Wednesday, so a week ago today, his legal team had a win, because his team was able to say that New York prosecutors wrongly obtained 16 pages of notes from his jail cell during a routine sweep, that it had his defense strategy, it had witnesses that they planned to call at the criminal trial in May, and the judge agreed that those should have been protected under attorney-client privilege. So there was a feeling today among reporter friends of mine and people in the building here that, maybe there's a chance that the judge, given he's taking several days to think about this, he asked for both sides to write a letter, that he might release him. But this is the third time. His team were waiting for a response from his legal team. They could appeal again. But we were talking to Danny Savalos earlier, and he said, they would have to propose something new and different to potentially be successful for a fourth attempt.
Judge Submanon made a firm decision, citing serious concerns about public safety and Diddy's alleged history of interfering with witnesses. Even though Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all the charges, the evidence against him paints a different picture.
First of all, Shauna, let's jump here to you, because I'm curious at all if you're surprised by this ruling from the judge here again to deny bail to Sean Diddy Combs.
No, I'm not surprised by the ruling because, as she cited in her order, there are very serious allegations about the danger that he potentially poses to other witnesses and the public at large. There are allegations that he has, been violent with others. He's also attempted to allegedly intimidate other witnesses and still contact witnesses while incarcerated, despite having an order that says he's not supposed to. So under these types of conditions, we usually find that the judge will not grant bail in order to preserve the judicial system and the witnesses and ensure that testimony, people feel comfortable being able to come to court and testify without being threatened with violence.
And that's part of exactly what the judge is saying, that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community. I mean, Mike Muse, that is quite a statement here when someone is trying to get out on bail, noting that his defense lawyer said, let him out on bail. He would be in his 3-bedroom apartment right in New York and that he would be monitored at all times. And the judge just not buying it.
Not buying it at all, Kana. And safety can mean a couple of different things. Safety just doesn't mean free from harm of violence. Safety can also, too, means emotional and mental dynamic that could occur by Sean Combs reaching out to potential witness to get them to possibly change their testimony, to feel threatened that if they were to come forward and to testify against him, associates on the outside may be able to get in contact with them, really making them feel unsafe to go before the court, go before jury, go before the witness stand and to testify. What we're also too seeing is the judge brought in evidence from a text that Cassie sent to Diddy after the elevator incident, where Cassie said, quote, you are sick to think that it was okay to do what you did to me, really feeding into what the judge is concerned about in terms of physical safety. So we highlighted mental and emotional safety as well as physical safety that the judge has cited as a reason needing to keep to deny Sean Combs bail.
Right. And of course, that violent incident with Cassie is certainly the crux of this case. And we know that his lawyers have pushed back on that video a lot. His lawyer at one point said that, in fact, is evidence of a relationship deteriorating when it is viewed clearly very differently by the judge here in this case.
The prosecution dropped some serious evidence of Diddy's secret attempts to contact key individuals while he was incarcerated. He allegedly used the phone codes of other inmates to avoid surveillance and communicate discreetly. These actions not only raised concerns, but also confirmed doubts about Diddy's ability to follow legal boundaries, even while in custody.
But also, Shauna, I'm curious as to your thoughts here on these allegations, right, of witness tampering. We've heard these allegations that he was, using other inmates' phone accounts to try to make phone calls in a way to make it so that they wouldn't be monitored. And there's also this concern that he might be trying to influence the jury pool via social media, even while he's behind bars.
Absolutely. And I'm sure the judge really looked into that because although we know that these are allegations, there's been no evidentiary hearing as to whether or not these actually rise to the level of obstruction. Just the idea that he is not even following the rules that are enlisted by the prison is already a sign to the judge that he may not follow any conditions that are set forth. And so those type of allegations, whether or not there's been an evidentiary hearing, just speaks to the actions of the individual while incarcerated. And if you're not having good behavior at that time, the judge is going to look to say that, even if you're let out and left to your own devices, it's not going to get any better. So that has not played in his favor at all.
And Mike, if you can sort of read us in here on what this also says about the larger team around Sean Diddy Combs, noting here that the judge writes the sufficiency of any condition that would place trust in Combs and individuals in his employment, like a private security detail, to follow these conditions. I mean, they're really questioning everyone around him as well.
They are. And Kana, just listening to you and trying to talk, I really began to think about not only his associates and who's on his payroll, but also Kana, his family. Sean Combs has a very strong immediate family with his children who also do hold a level of social currency and culture, and who also, too, are really influential on social media. I'm thinking about Kana recently. We saw that was posted on Instagram where the children were gathered around a table and was able to communicate with Sean Combs behind bars to wish him a happy birthday. And you can hear Sean Combs on the speakerphone. They're talking about the love they have for the father. The father is talking about the love that they have for them. So really signaling to any potential witnesses that his children are a tight unit, has great social media currency. Also, too, his sons are actually involved in the music industry, to which before he was arrested, his son made a rap song really questioning the federal government, really questioning potential potential witnesses to go forward against his father. So when you tie all those things together, you look at the social media dynamic, the social currency, the ability to use music to possibly influence and cross distress to amongst witnesses. That is all part of the safety to which the judge is talking about.
The prosecution presented solid evidence that Diddy attempted to secretly contact important people while in jail. He allegedly used his friends' phone codes to get around surveillance and communicate privately. These actions have raised serious concerns and called into question Diddy's ability to follow the law, even while behind bars.
Interesting, because Judge Subramanian writes, the court makes no determination that the content of Combs' communications through these channels was improper. That's interesting. And this is something that he talked about in the hearing about, is it really bad he's posting things or having people post things for him on social media? So he's saying, I'm not really going to focus on the content of the communications, but, and this is something that we talked about in a prior sidebar, it was just the flouting of the rules that was the problem. He writes, however, his willingness to skirt BOP rules in a way that would make it more difficult for his communications to be monitored is strong evidence that the court cannot be reasonably assured as to the sufficiency of any conditions of release, especially given that they occurred when Combs was seeking bail and when he knew the government's concerns about witness tampering and obstruction were front and center. Yeah. Really bad that he's doing this when he's already accused of obstruction and he's under the government's eye. But, and this is also interesting, you know another reason why the court was skeptical about Sean Combs being released? And, Judge Subramanian at least kind of entertained what would bail look like, what would pretrial release look like. He went on a back and forth, and we'll talk about this in a minute, where Sean Combs' attorneys had said he has an apartment in New York, there will be private security. Well, here's what the court says. The court doubts the sufficiency of any conditions that place trust in Combs and individuals in his employ, like a private security detail, to follow those conditions. So, wow. So really seems swayed by the prosecution's argument that his private security team could probably be susceptible to manipulation.
Judge Submanon didn't focus on the content of the messages, noting that the court hadn't yet decided if they were important. What truly angered him was that Diddy was willing to break jail rules. The judge felt this destroyed any trust and made the idea of release conditions pointless. This only made the situation worse.
Yo, listen, do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. Alright? I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes. The what? All the boxes left over from the pizza. All the boxes. Okay. Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about. Yeah. Did Jay reach out yet? Nah, Bob. He ghosting. This motherfucker doing it. Sweet now, cause I'm in here. It's all good. You about to get out on bail. No. Hey, yo, check this out. I need you to reach out to the producer. Let these motherfuckers know there's a release date for that new movie. Alright, Bob. It's just crazy right now. Everybody out there quiet as a motherfucker. Yeah, exactly. We gonna let them have their little fun, but I'm still gonna have the last laugh. What about all these lawsuits, though, Bob? None of them get shit. I ain't worth nothing. In my name anyway. Don't even worry about it. But the money hungry and shit. Bob, Justice said, what should he do about his whip, though? Man, the is you talking about? You know some shit I'm dealing with right now? I know, Bob. I told him to do that. Hey, yo, check this out. Tell his light-skinned ass to go make a club appearance or something. Make some money. You 30 years old and shit. Hey, your own fucking call. Hey, I told him drop some music. I'm about to drop a new track this week. Everybody gonna want to hear my that's like, man, we're not doing that shit. Y'all need to stay quiet. I can rap though. We got attention right now. Man, just do the I told you to do. And don't forget about the list. Make sure that shit is signed. Alright.
One of the most surprising moments was a leaked phone call between Diddy and his son, Christian Combs. It wasn't your usual father-son chat, it raised a lot of red flags. During the call, Diddy appeared to be trying to avoid prison surveillance and even used a coded message to make plans from inside. Here's the video of that recorded call.
Then finally, Judge Subramanian distinguishes Sean Combs' case from the Mike Jeffries case, the former Abercrombie & Fitch CEO who was just recently arrested on trafficking charges in New York. He's facing charges in federal court in the Eastern District of New York as opposed to the Southern District, but same thing. And the idea there was he was released on $10 million bail. Very similar allegation, trafficking. But this is what the judge writes. In United States v. Jeffries, while the government raised danger, its principal concern with respect to defendant Mike Jeffries was flight. He had no criminal history. The alleged criminal conduct, which did not involve the kind of violence or RICO allegations made here, racketeering allegations made here, abated nearly a decade ago, and Jeffries was 80 years old. So that's how he's distinguishing that case from Combs. And so ultimately, he denied Sean Combs bail.
Additionally, Judge Supermanin distinguished between Diddy's case and that of Mike Jeff, the former CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch.
I think this is going to be even bigger than people can imagine.
Give me a sense of the volume of videotape and photographic evidence and recordings you have.
We are still sifting through hundreds of pictures and video. Some of it, it's without context. It's hard to even know what this even means or how does this fit into the picture. I've been sent just unsolicited via email and direct message on social media, videos and pictures and stuff. So we're trying to sift through all that. So I couldn't even give you an estimate. Yesterday there was an individual who, of course, did not want to reveal who she was, but was texting me just video after video after video from some of these so-called freak-offs. And I'm just looking at this stuff like, man, I wish this weren't on my phone, number one. And number two.
She was texting you on your personal phone.
Yeah.
Videos of these freak-offs.
Yeah. Yeah. And
what does that say to you that somebody unsolicited feels so strongly about what's happened to her and others that she would send this material to you?
Yeah, and here I am trying to figure out. First off, I don't want this stuff on my phone, but laying out.
No, of course not.
I'm trying to figure out the context. Like, who are these people doing these things that you would typically wouldn't see, and obviously you couldn't show it to anybody in public. It's pretty graphic, but I've had we have this large team of people trying to field all these calls and all these media or this internet contact. And, trying to sift through that and screen that and get people to the next level to start talking to lawyers. And the difficulty, as you might expect, is what you want to do is you want to make sure that people believe, look, you are believed. Okay. We believe victims. We're not here to cross-examine you at this point. We're not here to be skeptical. But at some point we have to be, because as you know, these are very difficult cases. These are difficult cases going against a powerful group of people. So at some point, when they get to the third level, hard questions have to be asked. And so there's a balance we have to cut here. We have to, on the one hand, make sure that people understand that we believe you. We want to hear what you have to say. We want to hear your story. We want to represent you and help you if we can. On the other hand, you need to understand that this is not going to be a cakewalk. This is going to be, there's going to be a lot of attention on this, and they're going to fight us tooth and nail. And the first defense is going to be, we don't know who you are, and you're just here to try to get money. And the second defense is, well, if you've proven that we were in the same room together, that we didn't do anything to you. And the entire defense is going to be, we're going to attack your character and your lawyer's character, and we're going to attack, from the very beginning. So I've been down this road before. It's a difficult road, but the fact that we have 120 people who are willing to step forward, who have been vetted now and are ready and willing and able to file their case. We're going to file them under the Jane Doe or the John Doe pseudonym, but we understand that eventually their names will be made public. I'm encouraging them to talk to the Homeland Security and the FBI. I'm encouraging them to allow me to share their names and their information with the authorities. I'm encouraging them that at some point, let's step in front of a camera and let's tell your story, because there's probably many other people out there who, if they see you on the camera and they hear what you have to say and it happened to them, they'll step forward too. So that's kind of where we are in this. And, we're at the tip of the iceberg.